For as long as we humans have been around, we've been trying to understand the world, and not just with tools and science, but through something deeper, a more intuitive kind of dialogue. Today, we're going to explore one of the most ancient ways we try to just listen to what nature has to say.
Okay, let's start with this. Seriously, have you ever been out in a forest, or maybe standing by the ocean, and you just felt a connection? No words, just this sense of understanding, like you were part of something way, way bigger? That feeling right there, that's the heart of what we're talking about today.
So, that universal feeling we just touched on? In a lot of ancient cultures, it wasn't just left to chance. No, it was actually channeled and understood through a really specific and very respected role in the community. See, these cultures believed that while pretty much anyone could feel that connection, some people were specialists. They were seen as a living, breathing bridge, someone whose entire purpose was to connect our human world with the massive, complex, and let's face it, pretty mysterious world of nature.
And that's where the term shaman comes in. Now, the key word here, the one to really lock onto, is intermediary. A shaman wasn't a king or a commander. Think of them more like a translator, or maybe a diplomat, standing between our world and the natural world. Their whole job was to listen and then to interpret.
And get this wasn't just in one corner of the world. From the icy landscapes of Siberia to the deep Amazon rainforest and all across parts of North America, this idea of a natural go-between popped up all over the globe. That tells you something really profound, right? It speaks to this shared human need to connect with the world on a much deeper level. Okay, so if the shaman is the bridge, how did the traffic, the information, actually get across it? Well, it wasn't through a conversation like you and I are having right now. Not even close. This right here really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got our world of spoken sentences and literal everyday words. But the dialogue with nature, that was understood to happen on a totally different channel. It came through powerful images, really strong emotions, and physical sensations, vivid dreams, and symbolic events. So think of it less like a phone call and more like trying to interpret a really profound piece of art. So, how did someone actually tune into that channel? Well, it was often a very structured process. It would start with intense focus and ritual, maybe using things like rhythmic drumming to quiet down the logical part of the brain. From there, the goal was to enter an altered state, a state of heightened perception. And in that state, a symbolic encounter would often happen. But the final step, and this was absolutely crucial, was to translate that weird, wild experience into practical wisdom that the whole community could use. Which brings us to the big question, why? What was the whole point of all this? It was about getting tangible, real-world wisdom, and very often that wisdom came through nature's most powerful symbols. In these traditions, animals were so much more than just creatures sharing the land. They were seen as teachers, as guides, as living, breathing symbols of essential qualities and deep knowledge. And the symbolism was super direct. For example, an eagle might represent clear vision, being able to see the big picture. A bear could symbolize strength and the need for introspection, while a fox might represent cunning and adaptability. The whole idea was that by connecting with the essence of that animal, a person could understand and maybe even take on those qualities themselves. And here is the most important part. This was not just some abstract philosophical exercise. The goal was intensely practical. A vision of a dried-up river could be a direct warning to conserve water. An encounter with a plant in a dream might reveal how to use it to heal someone who is sick. This was about survival, about harmony, and about navigating the very real, very tough challenges of life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds, ancient and maybe a little out there, right? But the really surprising part is how much these ideas echo in our modern understanding of the mind and how we perceive the world. Because at its core, the fundamental belief wasn't really about magic. It was about attention. It was this idea that if we consciously slow down, quiet all the noise in our heads, and just truly pay attention to the world around and inside us, we can unlock these deeper, more subtle ways of perceiving things. I mean, just look at this parallel for a second. It's kind of wild. On one hand, you have shamanic insight, which they said came through images, emotions, and dreams. Now, think about how we describe modern intuition or a gut feeling. We talk about images that just pop into our heads, physical sensations, or these strong emotional impressions. The language we use to describe these experiences, separated by thousands of years, is just strikingly similar. So, whether you look at these traditions through a spiritual lens, a psychological one, or a cultural one, they all seem to point back to one really powerful, central idea. They really highlight this timeless, fundamental human curiosity, this deep-seated need to figure out our place in the world and how we connect with it all. This drive to understand our relationship with nature, to feel like we're a part of it. It's as old as we are. And this whole exploration of ancient intuition, it actually sets the stage perfectly for a really compelling scientific question that started to bubble up much, much later. And it leaves us with this thought: what if communication isn't just about what we can see and hear? In our next explainer, we're going to see how scientists and thinkers in the 19th century started to wrestle with that exact mystery. Thanks for joining us.